All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome. I don't know if you saw it in our channel already, but we're going to talk about acquisitions today. But before we start, we're going to give a shout out to Preetham because he signed a job offer today as a PM, first of our group. So congratulations.
Yes.
And you're coming to the Bay Area, which is really exciting because that's pretty much all of the acquisitions that we're talking about are Bay Area based. So
Yeah, you and Disha can play hopscotch.
I'm literally leaving the state and going to Seattle, but okay.
Oh, yeah, okay, never mind. Wait, you're going where?
We'll talk about it later.
You're going to Seattle?
Microsoft is in Seattle.
Bro, you and I can play hopscotch then. Whoa. Anyway, yeah,
Why is
continue. So
that?
much for the intro.
Okay. Do you want to put the spreadsheet in the
Yeah,
Zoom
I
chat,
got
and
that.
then we can get started.
All right, just gonna drop a link. Everyone can check it out.
So it looks like we have 8 people. We can go into breakout rooms, and I think we have an even number.
Yeah, we could do 2.
Okay.
Where are you being a PM?
So it's called N-Tribe, and they're basically like a marketing startup for. They do CRM for user-generated content, basically.
Oh.
So it kind of helps like all these companies gather whatever like consumers that are posting about their products, and then you can get rights to the pictures, the legal stuff behind things, and so on. So seems interesting. They have nice ambitions, so I'm definitely excited.
What type of influencers? Like TikTok, YouTube?
No, this is like general people. So like if you go and post about, I don't know, let's say like the Hydro Flask or something, maybe Hydro Flask wants to make a compilation of these like nice photos from general customers, because like you're more likely to trust your friend than some influencer or even like an ad, right? So they're trying to tap that market basically.
Oh, so it's like your customer are like the companies, not the influencers.
Yeah, it's like activating your customer base for marketing. And
Wow.
so you could like reward people that give you like good pictures and then get them to come back to your store and buy more things. So it's a good return on investment thing too.
Very modern.
Yeah, definitely adapting to times.
Interesting. Is your team like super young then, that like they understand what influencers are? Because my parents don't understand what influencers are.
I wouldn't say they're super young. I'm definitely the youngest, no doubt. I couldn't say exact ages, but definitely like 5-6 years out of college.
That's just a very clever idea. I feel like it reminds me of something. You know what Mischief is? They're another marketing company. They're more on the arts side of marketing, but
Okay.
they kind of do a lot of, guerrilla marketing like that.
Okay.
That's
All
a cool
right.
idea.
Does anyone have any strong preferences looking at the spreadsheet on what companies they want to talk about?
I want to do Postmates. That's a tragedy.
All right, Kyle, I'll put you in Postmates. Who else?
This year.
Govind, which one do you want to do?
I'll do NVIDIA.
Okay, Himanshu got you. I think you were talking about that on Slack. Cool.
Yeah, I'll do NVIDIA. Yeah, I just got an
both of you were talking about it. Okay, Manas, what about you?
I think since we only have like 8 people on here, if we just do 2, I think would work better actually. That way we could get in groups of 3 and then one person could be on here just to allow many more people. So I guess NVIDIA and Uber just works.
Okay, let's go for it.
Sad. I want to do Google.
Oh, you want to do that?
I wanted to do Microsoft.
We can combine topics.
No,
let's just split, guys.
So boring.
Which one's so boring?
Microsoft and LinkedIn? That's like...
What? It's the biggest acquisition on the spreadsheet. $26 billion.
No, AR is the biggest.
Slack and Salesforce, that would be bigger.
Money.
Oh yeah, we missed that one. Okay, how about we go into breakout rooms for NVIDIA
Okay, how
and
about
ARM?
one team just stays in the main room so that if anyone new comes in, we can just put them in a breakout room.
Also ARM was the biggest one, just to point that out.
If we all want to talk about all of them, maybe we can just go through them one by one though, because it sounds like we all want to talk about all of them.
Yeah, there's not too many people.
We should have had a Slack and Salesforce if possible.
We can add that. I mean, why not?
That's another good one.
Yeah, we should do that.
Okay. I
Yeah,
guess
I
we can,
still
yeah,
cannot
just
believe that's
stay
real.
here and go down. We don't need teams. We can just discuss the different things.
And we'll do Slack and Salesforce. I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised by that one.
That's just so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dhruv
Did you
actually
guys
had a
hear?
really good point about Slack and Salesforce in that
Yeah.
Slack was just dying because of Microsoft and how Teams is just integrated with their Office suite. And so no one wants to pay extra money to do something that Teams already does. And Salesforce was trying to get into communication channels because they have the whole CRM stuff and all that, but they don't have any like communication product on their portfolio. So sort of like a win-win, which I thought was a good point.
Just too bad that people forgot the word that starts with P, partner. You don't have to give up your sovereignty.
Well, I think the hard part for Slack though is that they were definitely dominating the market in which tool people want to use. Like if you think about it, for our club and any other club, no one's gonna think, oh, let's go make a Microsoft Teams account. Everyone jumps to making Slack, but you don't monetize on that because students and nonprofits and orgs, people who are like young and like the more casualness of Slack, they don't pay for Slack.
They had like all of Silicon Valley in their pocket. Like they were the thing to use if you were like at all technically inclined. Slack's where you go.
But
So
Teams has Office 365 because it's included.
they're being
So-
eroded away. But the way you solve that is you partner with Salesforce and you innovate.
Well, I guess
They
it's
could
their
also do
market.
what Discord's doing, right? Discord has like the new like Discord Nitro or something. So you could offer premium tiers to like regular consumers. Maybe they can store more files and
Yeah.
on their side of things, they can see more previous messages and stuff
Like
like
a
that.
freemium model where you get
Exactly.
and then
I mean, they've
talking about
already,
Discord, like Discord's the Nitro model of Discord is not good. Like it's not going really good for them. Maybe
Oh, yeah,
it would be good
Discord
like if a
loses
similar
money, but
thing.
they're still around. So if Discord can do it, Slack can do it too.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slack can definitely do it better too. I feel like
Yeah.
they've got
Doesn't
so
Slack-
much, so many consumers.
Doesn't Slack
Uh,
have the 10,000 message limit after which you gotta pay for it?
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
My
Yeah,
friend
yeah,
was
yeah.
telling me
It
how
has premium.
they keep all like they have a Teams because it comes along with their whole Office contract, whatever. But then they have a separate Slack for other things as well, which is just the free tier because all the employees prefer using that. So
Mm.
Slack should add video calls, but I think it already has that.
And
Is
I've
it?
heard like people divided up into like at Liberty Mutual, we had teams to discuss like all of our work related stuff. And then if you wanted to talk about like a random channel or anything like that, it was all on Slack. So you could
Yeah.
clearly tell that like Teams has this like really conservative, like strict, like just vibe where you don't want to like even drop a smiley face. And also like Microsoft's emojis are so ugly, which I feel like makes a difference. Like on Slack Manus, your emojis are so fun to be able to use them. And you can't do that on Teams.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
mean, there was similar thing when I was like mainstream Discord user, and when I went to Slack, it felt like you fell from Slack to Teams. So like, and now I've gotten used to everything, but like Slack it still feels like formal, I guess.
It's like casual yet professional at the same time. You know
But
what I mean?
now all that's gone because they gave up.
I guess. True.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's get started with this list, I guess.
Well, so why are you sad that Salesforce bought Slack? Do you think there's going to be more
Well,
red tape?
I think it's very important that companies are focused. I think that's a very good thing because I think the goal of a company isn't just to make money, it's to make a good product. And the way you do that is to, maybe growth isn't your first priority in the beginning, but it's to have everyone focused on the vision for your one product. And if you have the company making hundreds of things, it's really tough to have people focused on, one vision. And especially if you're a subsidiary, you're maybe the sixth person at the table and you get all the scraps that fall off whatever Microsoft or whatever Salesforce is doing, right? So it's just not a good situation for anything. Maybe for short-term.
I just think that the biggest gain in that situation though is that like let's say companies buy whatever Salesforce bundle that they need, they get Slack too. And so
Right, for now, but what was so like all those great things we were talking about in Slack, those were great, not just, because God anointed them, because they had those great people. And they're not going to have to go through another layer of bullshit to get to the customer. So what makes Slack will be eroded away in the next 5 years. Slack will become Microsoft Teams, but from Salesforce. It'll have none of the personality. It will, probably cost more and do less. That's what makes it sad, that we just lost something that was nice.
I mean, I think you're right in some ways. Like if you think about Microsoft buying LinkedIn, Microsoft benefited way more than LinkedIn did. Like on Microsoft's calendar, and now if you have a meeting with an individual, they can just pull their LinkedIn data to give you like little tips if you're pitching a sales pitch to them or something like that. Or on Microsoft Word, now you can import your LinkedIn profile when you're making a resume. But when you go on LinkedIn, I don't see anything that different or anything that fundamentally
They made it more
better.
cluttered and harder to use. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know a lot about LinkedIn before, so I kind of can't, but
It is interesting though, because
shows.
Salesforce wanted to buy LinkedIn and they got beat out by Microsoft.
When did that happen? Was that like 2013?
I don't know.
Probably like
15?
I don't know. Let's see. Microsoft, LinkedIn.
2016.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the LinkedIn and Microsoft, see, I think you can put an asterisk in there because Microsoft is already a buffet of subsidiaries and chunks. So it's tough to, you can't really dilute Microsoft anymore. And LinkedIn is so like LinkedIn could have been a Microsoft product from the start. You wouldn't be surprised. So, there are cases where it's less damaging just because there's not much to damage, but I don't know.
All right, let's go to the next one because we've had some heated convos on this already in Slack. So Himanshu, Govind, what do you guys think about NVIDIA buying ARM?
Ooh.
Give us your hot take.
I think it's a really smart move for NVIDIA right now. It's just because of Apple, especially because right before the Apple laptops came in, I would have said that this was a stupid deal. Who's gonna invest in ARM? But Apple actually proved it for everyone that a company actually that doubles its battery life essentially in one product cycle. That was previously impossible. You saw 10% improvement, 20%, but almost a leap of double. I'm exaggerating right now, but the point still is that ARM is just suddenly way more popular. Microsoft is again reinvesting their resources to compete with Apple there, a bunch of other companies, and just the number of companies that are trying to block this deal right now. I think Google's trying to block it, Qualcomm's trying to block it, a lot of small chip companies are trying to block this deal. They're going through intense regulation right now. I don't think the deal's gone through yet, but if it goes through, it's going to be like the deal of the decade for them.
The start of the dark ages for the chip market.
What's the reason they want to block it? What sort of
So
this ARM thing is we're finally getting out of Intel's grasp, and now we're going to give it to another company so they can control us.
Oh, okay.
What's so cool about ARM is they make their money not by making chips, but by just making the architecture. So they released a lot of the creative ability to anyone's company. So
NVIDIA says that we're never going to do anything. We're not
sure
company, but no one's ready to believe them yet. But my opinion right now is that they wouldn't do it just because it benefits them more just to be on good terms with everyone. NVIDIA is kind of has been in bed with Tesla and a bunch of other companies right now. And I feel it just helps them cooperating. With Google data centers, I feel NVIDIA has definitely sold them drives before, even though Google might be opposed to this deal. I think it benefits everyone in the long run, except for maybe, smaller companies out there, that aren't
Wasn't it better to have an independent ARM?
I mean, if there's
how do things get better if NVIDIA owns ARM?
So I think the main motivation is just the money they get out
for
of
NVIDIA,
it, right?
yeah, and for ARM. But
Yeah.
what about for the world?
Well, I mean, if NVIDIA just says you go do what you want, I just want the money from you, then I guess it's fine.
But
But
would
if
it
they
really
get,
get better? Because now there's risk where there was no risk before. There's risk that NVIDIA puts their boot down, which they're a company that actually has a history of doing that.
true.
I feel like NVIDIA is a lot more focused on enterprises than consumers now. You know, like their main focus has changed to sell to data centers, sell to AI. Like the last few years of products have just shown that like they're
Yes.
absolutely horrible on the customer front. They basically like don't care.
You know, those 30 series GPUs, that's apparently those
Yeah, like they are absolutely bad on like the customer point, but like on the other part, like just with their enterprise consumers, they're actually doing pretty amazing. Intel is like Intel's worried on all sides. Nvidia is like trying to steal like the enterprises away. AMD's
does NVIDIA do CPUs for the server? Or they
no,
just
it's
Don't think so.
like in AI especially. That's what they're really focused on right now.
so what? But yeah, but does Intel and NVIDIA really compete in that market?
I don't think so. I honestly
Like-
thought NVIDIA was going fully into AI, so the ARM thing was surprising.
And the thing is that first thing, I don't expect like anyone to be charitable here or like do something that is good for everyone. Definitely there's gonna be some people looking out for personal interest, but at the same time, ARM is not supposed to be perfect. I mean, it is definitely better in a lot of ways than x86, but it still doesn't solve a lot of problems x86 has. Like there's definitely a lot of room for improvement so that someone else can come in. It's not like ARM is the final like messiah or something like that.
Well, it kind of seems like, I mean, yeah, obviously there's no platonic ideal, but the computer industry seems to converge on standards in like 20-year cycles. And we're now converging on ARM as the way to do CPUs. And I think it would be a shame if we, if we were beholden to one company to run that standard again, right? I think the tech industry is at its best when standards are run by a lot of companies. That's where you get USB, HDMI, the internet, all video. That's like nice. I don't think it's great when one company runs a standard because it's not, it's not very democratic.
I feel like there'll always be new architectures though. Like RISC-V is already like.
In that case, you're just saying that, well, the ARM thing's okay because it might go to ship, but we can just make something new.
No, but like new and better, essentially. Like it's not even the thing with ARM is like if like when you study the history, it started off as saying, x86 is so complicated. Here's a simpler way to do things.
Yeah.
But now RISC-V is like, you know what? We don't even want to make money off of this. Let's just do it royalty free. Let's just make it free for all. Essentially, they're not up there with their ARM yet. Especially with convincing companies that hey, you can implement this properly, so and so. No one's completely switched the boat yet, but there are companies like Apple out there that can shift the boat for everyone. When
Apple does not, Apple's going to stick to ARM for the next 15, 20 years.
Yeah, but who's to say what's to happen after that? I feel like it's still the golden age.
You want to put the whole industry in like in NVIDIA's headlock for 20 years? That doesn't sound very fun.
I mean, they've never been a kind of company to restrict competition for others. Like in the past,
They're very aggressive in the markets they participate in.
They're aggressive with the products they launch out there, but they're not out there to restrict competition. It's like I just blame the other companies for not being able to compete on the same.
I admire your optimism.
Because
Are you guys talking about Apple?
No, we're talking about NVIDIA.
Okay.
yeah, like I don't know, like Intel right now especially, they're doing completely hard. Like for years they just abused their position. They were like, oh, we're the best. NVIDIA had no reason to release like the 3000 series as powerful as it was compared to like the 2000 series. It was a really good improvement. I feel like they could have still sold a substandard product. People still would have bought it. But NVIDIA was just like, what, let's just push the best we can. They're actually, in the last few years, I feel like they've driven up competition.
Yeah, and NVIDIA does a great job. But I mean, they make the best GPUs in the world, and they've proved that. And I think they're a good company. I mean, they have some problems. They're good, but I don't love NVIDIA so much. I'm willing to, crown them our monarch.
Yeah.
Maybe you are. That's okay.
So the thing is, the problem is not crowning someone as a monarch. The problem is that even if they become a monarch, we must benefit. Like all of the like consumers must benefit in some way, and like it's not like possible to make it like completely standard which a lot of people follow, but like if they're earning and we're also getting the benefit, I think that there is a good medium. I cannot expect like a lot more from a company to be charitable.
Well, we could just not have NVIDIA buy ARM, and that would kind of solve all these problems. Because ARM was pretty good about making, they made money and they licensed their intellectual property. They didn't make a lot of money, but they made enough, and they allowed the ARM market. They allowed everyone who wanted to make an ARM chip could make one. So that it kind of worked.
Yeah, I mean, they're still about to go through antitrust right now. A lot of different countries have blocked the deal currently, so we never know.
I hope it doesn't go through, but
There's still a lot of thought process going around that. Let's see.
All right, let's talk about something else. So, Aditya, you pick. Aditya Nai. How do you say your last name?
Nathani.
Natani. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Uber acquiring Postmates or Google acquiring Fitbit or Uber acquiring Lime or DoorDash buying Caviar? Pick one.
Honestly, I have no idea about any of these, so I'm just gonna go with the first one and say Uber and Postmates.
Okay, let's talk about Uber and Postmates. So the two Adityas, you guys have been quiet, and Natant, you too. So what do you guys think about Uber buying Postmates?
Okay, I'm Canadian. I have no idea what Postmates is. So like, what the hell is Postmates?
That was the best answer I've heard in this call.
Yeah, I want to
This is
like
where
use
we-
that for like marketing for this club.
Honestly, I don't know what Postmates is either. Like,
it's
I have no idea.
Okay, the three people who haven't talked. So Natant, you're left. Do you want to explain Postmates?
It's just like, I don't even know. I haven't really used it. It's just like another delivery service. I'm not the person to be answering this.
Aditya, it's like Swiggy in India, and
Oh, Zomato. Okay, I got
and
it.
Zomato. Okay, same.
Yeah.
And Canadian Aditya. Oh, that's how we can differentiate between you guys. What do you have?
Canada?
God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
In Canada, what do you guys have as like your food delivery?
Probably Uber Eats,
Like
right?
Ubereats, yeah, and like
Okay.
DoorDash. Yeah.
Okay, so it's another version of DoorDash.
Okay, yeah.
So why do you think Uber bought them?
can I like add something to that a little bit? Because
Yeah.
Postmates I was like a huge Postmates fan before they were bought.
Aw.
And they had a much bigger vision than just being Uber Eats. Their idea was to completely change the way packages are delivered. Since the start of the postal system, packages are delivered to buildings, right? Postmates wanted to deliver packages to people. So add a whole extra layer of how packages get to you. They had a great robotics team. They did drones, they did all sorts of stuff. And their idea was you could ship something. I could ship my package directly to you. It would be in your hand, and they kind of, they were building infrastructure to do that. Food was what they started with, but they really have much broader ambitions. And now.
So wait,
that
did
sucks
they
that they
ever
got
like
acquired.
leave food? Sorry.
They were
They got
just
acquired.
starting to, like
Oh,
they
okay.
would, they were starting to buy, they rolled out like a fleet of autonomous robots in San Francisco, and they were starting to, allow people to ship things, and then acquisition.
Hmm.
I had a quick question for you guys. If I don't understand this one thing, if there's Uber Eats, if their division is actually profitable, because I remember like reading that somewhere that for the first time this year, because of the pandemic, food was a crucial part, right? People couldn't just dine
Yeah.
out, so they had to get food to them. So that was a huge part of their success. Why did they have to acquire Postmates?
Well, that's
Why
a
did
big
it-
thing in tech, right? If you can't beat your competitor, just buy them.
Was
Also, I
Postmates?
think
Yeah, go
they'd
ahead.
get whatever like restaurants Postmates is tied with, because Uber Eats isn't tied with everyone, right?
Oh, that's a good
Postmates has their
point.
own stuff, so it's like when you acquire a company or whatever, you get all their clients too. So same logic
Yeah.
with the food delivery service. So Uber Eats can basically provide people with more options.
But then Uber also acquired Grubhub.
Same
No,
thing.
so the thing is
That's
that
what it
Yeah,
is, right?
maybe they're just
I'm
trying to
taking
get all of them.
I'm taking a marketing class right now, and we discussed this thing there. They said that professor said that Uber is now transitioning from a like transportation company to a logistical company. So they're trying to become the the I don't know monopoly, but like they're trying to become the number one top company for all sorts of logistics. Like that is the thing they're moving towards, and that is their vision for 2021.
I
I see.
I
honestly hate
mean,
Uber.
then Postmates acquisition makes sense, right?
They're
If
an
they're trying to
evil
do
company.
logistics.
They laid off 15% of Postmates employees.
Did you hear about the Postmate
Ooh.
employee scams? So
No,
like
what was it
these
about?
are like so these Postmates employees were being contacted by like fake Uber people or whatever it was, and they
Mm-hmm.
were asked to enter all their employee information and everything.
And it looked like a
And
real
so
website too. Yeah.
exactly. And so then they'd go in there and change their bank information so that when they wanted to withdraw cash or get paid, it wouldn't go to their account, it'd go to the scam people. So like Postmate people are just getting screwed left, right, and center.
Isn't that like easy to like track and like find? Like how would that be a good idea at all? Because isn't it like can't you just literally just connect it to their bank account?
Well, you would have like a shell bank account that you deactivate.
Got you. Not too knowledgeable in scamming.
Good conscience. That's a good thing.
But
Yeah,
last
no,
question, I guess. So if the pandemic like never happened, if COVID wasn't a thing, do you think that Uber would still have acquired what was it, Postmates?
Yeah, totally.
Probably not.
Yeah, it would be
yeah,
more certain
It
It's
thing.
kind of
easy.
makes sense
Yeah,
more
I mean,
for Amazon to acquire, but I don't know, like Uber actually did it or something. I would personally expect Amazon to do something like.
Yeah, why hasn't
Yeah,
Amazon
that
acquired
makes
anything?
sense.
Yeah,
Amazon's
exactly.
not really in
'Cause-
that market though. Like they're
Yeah,
I feel like
It's
they
all in the
are, right?
delivery
It's all
business,
about the
like-
logistics
yeah,
for
but Amazon they don't do the contracting stuff in that way, and like there's a lot of political problems with Uber's
I mean,
business.
Amazon does like safe acquisitions. Like they bought Audible, they bought Ring, things like that.
Mhm.
They don't like to be. It's still not even clear if Uber's way of doing business, and by Uber I mean that whole market, Grubhub, everyone is even like legal, because are they workers or are they
Did
it's
you
just
guys hear
not
about
doesn't
like
look
Prop 52 or 22 in California?
Yeah.
so it's not people don't love you if you're in that business. I mean, hashtag delete Uber.
oh yeah, I think there was like a lawsuit in the EU regarding that. Like, are Uber drivers like employees of Uber, or do they like work independently? I think the court ruled that they're like actually employees of Uber.
Of course they do.
Which yeah, well, yeah. No, but what Preetham said, I agree. Like Uber Eats acquiring Postmates is makes sense, because like they already had so many relations with restaurants, and they already had like a huge fleet of delivery people. Something similar happened in India, like currently like the biggest delivery system, which is like Zomato. It acquired Uber Eats in India. So they were like super aggressive with that. If you had an Uber Eats account and you try to open it the day after they acquired it, they would like directly redirect you to the Zomato app and give you a 3-month free pro membership.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Uber, I don't know if it was Uber Eats, but they sold off, I think it was just Uber proper, to whatever the Chinese alternative is.
Oh, I think I heard about that one. Yeah, I know what you're
It's
talking
Apple
about.
invested $1 billion in them. It's like, whatever that is.
Wait, let me see.
I think it's the same syllable twice.
Okay. Wait, so like Uber just has separate company establishments
In different
in
countries.
different
that's
countries?
like a
Like
very
how do you
Yeah.
acquire Uber Eats in one country?
Well, because it's like their own organization. So there's one guy that manages.
All countries have different these things. Like the thing is that that sometimes the acquisitions like work differently for different countries, and they just acquire the operations of this thing. And there was this thing that happened with Thomas Cook. Like, so the thing is that something, I think some scam or some acquisition happened with Thomas Cook, and then people were like freaking out in India, and then Thomas Cook like personally emailed everyone in India that we were acquired in the British territory, not in India. Like, so I don't remember, like something happened like that. Like the regional thing is really common. I mean, like they acquire the
Okay.
operations of this thing or that thing or something like that.
Yep.
Interesting.
But I think the thing with Postmates, it's like Square again, where how do you judge these things by what's good for, the parent company, the new parent company, or do you judge it by what's good for, the customers? And I always look at it from the second way. In both cases, things get worse for the world once, you take out a light.
Did Square get acquired by anyone?
No.
Okay. I was like, oh, that would be big if
I
that
actually
happened.
love Square. I feel like
What a
they're a
wonderful
solid
company.
company. Well,
Yeah, I feel like they're very diversified too. You know, they're
Yeah.
not just like
Yeah,
banking on this
unfortunately,
one.
that might be their death knell. Fortunately, yeah, they're awesome. They're really, really great design.
Yeah, I think my biggest like what I like the most about Square is the whole cashless payment like options they provided to small businesses. Because I remember at one point you've got like these old registers, and then suddenly you go and see like this like cool iPad thing or like that whole
How
monitor,
cool is
and
the hardware? So cool.
yeah, it's so clean, right?
Mhm.
Reduces the clutter
Yeah.
for all these people as well.
I
And
mean,
especially the card readers are so like in my head, I'm like, how can it be so small? This is wrong, sort of thing.
how can
you
you
know?
smile about, like a cash register, but you can apparently.
And
Exactly.
it's so
Yeah.
versatile, like for farmers markets, people who have like food trucks, like you can just plug it into your phone and start
Yeah.
accepting payments. Like that's phenomenal.
Exactly.
Really,
Yeah.
really well done. Yeah.
That's just like great engineering too.
And I mean, it's boring because of, finance is boring, but they're closing the back end of the loop. So they do payouts, they can be your bank account, like it's great.
Yeah.
All right, one other cool thing that we can talk about today is, and is anyone up to date with the Facebook versus Australia shebang?
Mm,
Okay, not a lot of people. All right, let's see if we can.
Yeah, I've
Of course
seen the
Logan
memes.
knows.
I've seen the memes. Like the memes are really awesome.
Whose
Okay,
side are the
wait.
memes on?
Looks like there's a 2-minute video that quickly explains it. We can watch that because it sounds like not a lot of people are up to date, but it is kind of major. So,
Whose side are the memes
Please
on?
enlighten us.
can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Australia's government is slamming Facebook's decision to block users in the country from all news content on its platform. Parliament is expected to pass a new media bill that would require platforms like Google and Facebook to pay news outlets for displaying and linking to their content. Facebook launched a preemptive strike against this proposed bill yesterday, blocking all news content. That included news sites as well as some government accounts, including those that provide updates on the pandemic and bushfire threats. Facebook said it took a broad definition of news to respect the law as it's drafted, but said it would reverse any pages that were inadvertently impacted. I think they've since said that was a mistake to block some of those government websites. Australian officials are speaking out against this move, calling it arrogant, heavy-handed, and unnecessary. This decision comes in stark contrast to Google, which announced earlier yesterday that it agreed to a revenue-sharing deal with Australian media company News Corp, which owns the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post, and of course, many other publications. But Andrew, this has been something that's been brewing for a while. News Corp has insisted for a long time that it should get paid by these companies that are linking to its news and profiting off of it. And if you look at the digital ad sales, $81 out of every $100 that's spent, so 81% of the ad dollars in Australia go to either Facebook or Google. And the government has said that this is its way of stepping up and helping some of the struggling publishers against these technology giants. But this is going to be a battle that's watched very closely because you can imagine that it can get picked up in other countries as well.
And I don't know if you saw, Microsoft has been very public about advocating for this rule. Now, they obviously in much of a different business for most of the businesses, but LinkedIn and others are advertising businesses. And so it'd be very interesting to see whether this comes right here on shore. But you're absolutely right. It's the big issue in the media land.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.
You're welcome.
Makes you love Microsoft, doesn't it?
Wait, so I'm actually a bit confused. How would the news publishers make money?
How
Like,
would they get
how does the
81
revenue
cents
sharing
on the
work?
That's what they're
dollar?
mad
Every time
about. Like
they
when
put a
you,
link, every time someone shares a link, Facebook, the company that like allows them to share the link, has to pay the newspaper.
Yeah.
that's what they're proposing.
Oh.
Like that's what they want.
And the thing is, like, if you look at News Corp, I think owned by Rupert Murdoch, like once Google struck a deal with them, suddenly Google was not the enemy anymore. It's like they didn't even care about the smaller news organizations in Australia. The ones that would actually get paid is not the focus of this. Like, it's just an excuse to say, oh, we're supporting the smaller.
Yeah, but
no.
it's a stupid law
I mean,
for everyone
it would
involved.
still work that way though, right? I mean, who cares? Like if you're the huge News Corp person or a small company, if that law goes into effect, Google still has to pay anyone for
Do
sharing.
you
the
think
link.
Google should have to? Like, I think that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's
That was
the Stone
dumb.
Ages.
And like,
So we're all in consensus.
yeah,
I'm just
Yeah,
I'm
so
just like thinking
so
of,
as a
is there
result
better
of all
way
of
to make
this,
money out of it?
Facebook, as a result of all of this, Facebook would actually blocking out news in Australia because of this, right?
Well,
Yeah.
you couldn't share
As
any news
Yeah,
links, but
that's
they
kind
blocked
of
it.
okay, and then the politicians were like, why are you going towards that extent? Even though they're the ones who are paying 81 cents on the dollar for their users to literally share and use their own website,
funny
which
enough,
doesn't make sense to me.
So would Google, let's say Google had to follow the law, would they pay for their Google search? Like if someone found a link on Google search, they'd have to pay? Okay, I think the Google part is kind of dumb.
They're all
'Cause-
dumb.
I think they're all dumb, yeah.
So Google
So
has to
this is
pay
like-
the government for letting people search whatever they're searching.
Yeah.
So if you go
If
and
it's-
search Donald Trump and you get 5 articles of some whack stuff that he did, then if you share that article, like you send it to me and you're like, look what
Yeah.
this guy did now.
No,
then
no. It's even worse than that. Like if you're this is just Australia, thank God. But if you look up, something in Australia and you get, some News Corp news articles, because it's really only for them, then Google has to pay News Corp because they displayed those articles to you.
Yeah,
Oh.
same thing with
Is that-
Facebook.
The struggling
So wouldn't they
journalism.
just suppress that?
No, but this
I
is the
guess-
problem. Even if it was like, let's say News Corp didn't get any money and only the indie journalists got the money, it would still be stupid. Because how
It
much
makes
money do
no
you think they
sense.
get from Google's billion traffic?
So it's different per company. Like for Google, they want like just to show it to you. For Facebook, they want to show it to you and when they send it to you, which is like they just want to make money off
Well,
of.
no. On Facebook, it's they have to pay whenever someone shares a link. So that's the same thing because
Well,
when
you have to
share a link-
see it to share it.
But I think the sharing thing is somewhat fair because I mean it's sort of like distributing, right? I mean, if you want to read a newspaper, you pay to read it. If
No,
it's
that's
like not
Facebook
free.
is-
They should
sending us
charge
that.
every time you talk about it. We should be paying. What was the video from CNBC or whatever? We should be paying them because we're talking about their video. That's true.
I guess that's
Bro, that's a
also true.
monarchy. What the hell?
Yeah, like that doesn't make any
That's-
sense.
Pour concrete into your brain. Like it's just what.
That doesn't
So if
make
we
sense.
were a PM on like Facebook or Google, what features could we come up with to give to these news companies as an alternative? Like maybe
Well,
a
Facebook
tipping
did the right
feature?
thing. They just
Like you
stopped
Yeah,
can
they
it.
go
blocked
tip the
news.
Wall Street Journal for a news story through Facebook or Google.
What? No,
What?
the way to make money is not Facebook's responsibility. It's the newspaper's.
Well,
job.
it's not, but what if you were
Yeah,
a PM at
that's
Facebook
true.
and your task was help them make money through our platform so we don't
To
have to
make
pay
our
them.
product worse to help someone else's business. That sounds like a company.
Yeah.
You have to do that
Google makes-
sometimes.
But Google makes that sense. Like Google is literally what powers all these websites right now. Like
Without Google, they would be
a better alternative.
not
They
just
could search
struggling. They'd
elsewhere.
be gone. Yeah.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
I agree, but what if you're given that task? What is some sort of solution you could come up with?
Prank
I
your
don't
bot.
think there is a solution. It's just news companies are
Also,
dying out
does
anyway.
Google really have a choice? Because isn't their search algorithm
No.
supposed to be neutral?
So there's an
Their
important.
search algorithm is not neutral.
Google decided to work with News Corp, and they, got in the back room with them. and
I
they-
feel like Google does things quietly and they just get
Yeah,
it done with. And
that's-
Facebook kind of screams in public.
and
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah.
did the honorable thing. They said we're just going to stop sharing, and then just like yesterday, they flipped around. Now they're
I
doing-
don't know. What Facebook did wasn't bad though. They just
No,
stopped.
they
They
did
were just
the right
covering
thing.
their base.
Kind of like I feel like it was kind of messed up though, to be honest. Unless I'm like,
Yeah.
How if you're
what, you're just
paying to
blocking
literally
news
show
for a
the news to
whole
someone,
continent, whole country, like, I'm confused. Like,
That's
Just
again,
stop.
this is certainly not as important, but this is the equivalent of doing a lunch counter sit-in in the tech world. Like
It's
this is
funny.
the fact that they're willing to go
Yeah.
that far to hold up what they think is right is makes me like Facebook more.
yeah, actually,
their
I
whole
like
logo and their whole slogan is to like help people get connected and like all that like pretty stuff, and that's like the opposite of what they were doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
it was definitely
that is
show
true.
power.
No,
If they
it's
allowed news sharing, they'd be supporting a law which taxes you whenever you share.
I'm
Yeah,
not saying
exactly.
I'm in favor of the law. I'm just saying I don't know. I think like
Right, but if you're not in favor of the law, what Facebook did was fighting
Opposite
back
or-
against the law.
People actually
supporting the
started.
law.
People actually started using Facebook, and
they're covering their base.
I started reading these articles about how the Facebook user improvement, like if the user experience improved once news stopped being shared. Like a lot
Oh,
of
really? Yeah.
people on Facebook is on the news. It's like someone shared oh, Trump bad. If someone else tries, oh, Biden bad. And there's just a bunch of people in the comments fighting. You know, imagine like there was no news on Facebook. It's just people you care about. It's like Facebook 10 years back, and people actually started liking the user experience. I feel like Facebook should have just stuck with their news plan. People would actually start
You should
using
have rolled it out everywhere, maybe.
Honestly, I think that's true. Like a Facebook without news would be nice.
Oh, can we make
Yeah.
a premium
Facebook is-
Facebook now? Like, can that
Facebook is
No,
not
like,
bad. I think if you
from-
zoom into this one issue, I'm amazed at how they were portrayed as evil for doing what they did. It's really disheartening.
Yeah, no, from like a
Why they
different
did it, I don't know.
perspective.
I'm like,
They're
Um,
fighting against a really stupid law, and they're willing to lose money to fight against that law because they think it's wrong. Not many.
How did they
companies
lose money
But
in
they're
those?
but the people they're hurting are like people in Australia.
yeah, we're not saying they don't have the right to do it. We're just like,
Well, no. I'm saying that it's not in their interest to do that. That they're losing, for the week that they didn't do it. How much money did they lose? Who knows? Probably a good couple $1 million, $100 million.
Plus,
And
they
they
would have been
sacrificed
taxed,
that money
dude.
to fight
Natan,
this
they're getting
law.
taxed.
Well, no, by not doing sharing, that the money
Yeah.
that they lost in advertising was far greater than the money they would have had to pay. It's not like Facebook suddenly doesn't become profitable.
it might seem kind of hypocritical, but I'm not saying like if I were Facebook, I wouldn't do that. But I'm just saying like that's like against their values. Though it's like they're literally like a huge platform for
You
news.
need to zoom out one click and you'll see it.
I understand it's the smart thing to do.
No. I'm not saying what I'm saying. It's in the customer's interest to do that. It's
Maybe in the
better
long
for-
term, but not in the short term.
Right. And if you think in the short term, then you do a lot of stupid things.
Got you. I see what you mean. I don't know. I'm still kind of iffy on it, to be honest, because like that's like the whole point of Facebook, and like they're just going. But like I understand where you're coming from, especially in the long run. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it like that.
What would you guys do if you were Facebook? Like
would
if
do-
I was Facebook, I would come up with some
This-
feature for like
I would do.
news companies to make money on Facebook. Like if you read an article from the Wall Street Journal on Facebook and you like it, you can tip the Wall Street Journal and send money directly to them. And I'll make a feature and I'll let that capability happen. But what solutions would you guys make?
Acquire all the news companies. Acquire all the news companies.
Holy shit. Hola Bezos.
That's the way.
Hire a private assassin, kill Rupert Murdoch, shut down
Oh my
news-
God.
kill the law. There you
We
go.
need to
Washington
pause
Post.
the recording.
You know what this reminds me of? It's kind of like the whole Apple App Store thing, right?
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
true.
They're passing stupid laws.
I
Wait, I'm not
I
familiar with
personally
the
am
Apple
on
App
the
Store
side
thing.
of Apple. Like they made the platform, they made a beautiful user
It's fine.
interface. They came up with a great way to distribute like different apps. Like they deserve their royalties for you using.
Really,
that
I
stuff.
disagree. I feel like
also
they're
kind of
killing the
disagree
tiny
with that.
apps.
Also,
Ah,
Apple.
Oh,
look
yeah,
at
yeah.
Android.
Lord.
Look at Android
You're
right
serious?
We're not saying what
You're
Android,
killing the
what
tiny
Google
apps by
is
giving
anymore,
away world-class APIs for free and giving you access to
But the
billions.
royalty doesn't have to be that big. Like it's a pretty 30% is a lot.
But like,
Okay,
Well,
so
that's
your
'cause they did
position is
something that no one
still, it
could.
doesn't like people are still
It could
interested.
write
Like
down to
people still want to be on the app
50%.
store. Like,
Also,
imagine
wait,
the level of
Okay, hold
Wait,
up.
for anyone defending Apple right now, firstly, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and a bunch of other companies don't pay as much to Apple as.
Netflix has to pay the 30%. It's Amazon that gets the pass, but there's a reason for that.
No, I think Netflix
Okay, but
doesn't let
whatever,
you download from the App Store.
whatever,
No.
whatever
So,
the reason is, you're
Amazon.
not
You
applying
cannot
rules fairly.
purchase.
This was a hot take, clearly.
Sorry.
I want to keep talking about this. I can let's just keep it going.
But wait. I want to talk where you're saying Disha, if that's the right way to pronounce it.
Disha, but close enough.
Disha, okay. So if Apple dropped their percentage down to 15, you'd be okay, or like 10.
I think it should be a percentage based on the amount of revenue that your company has.
That's what
So
it is.
a company like Netflix should not be paying the same amount as a small app that's
Do you
just
think the
starting out.
percentage should change?
Yeah, no. So
based on the revenue you have?
just a sec. So the thing is that
You agree.
Netflix,
Okay.
Spotify,
I like income
Amazon, and
tax.
all of them.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
you cannot
That's
purchase a Netflix subscription or a Spotify subscription
Yeah,
or an
Yeah.
Amazon Prime
exactly.
subscription directly in the iOS app. It's impossible. You need to do it on the website.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they do that on
They split
purpose.
the tax.
Even on
Yeah,
the Kindle.
obviously to avoid the 30%.
Yeah. On like Amazon apps and the Kindle app, they don't let you buy ebooks because
I'm
it's
sorry?
digital content. Yeah. For Amazon, the like app on your
Oh.
phone and iPad, as well as the Kindle app, they don't let you buy content, because then that's subject to the 15% revenue. And so you have to go to the website to buy any ebook you want and then get it onto your library. It's like so many companies have come up with ways to circumvent that thing.
Think about it from Apple's perspective. And once you do this, I know it's, just try it and it'll all make a lot of sense, that they put their hearts and souls into making the App Store on the iPhone. They really worked hard on that.
A lot of people in China worked really hard for this. We should appreciate this, all right? Don't take it away from us.
Foxconn make a lot of money from the factories, but Apple doesn't run a single factory. So it's kind of totally different business. But they worked really hard designing the iPhone and the whole ecosystem. So it's fair that they get some money from, my Lord. It's fair that they get some money from that work on building the App Store. Credit card companies get money from just you having their piece of plastic, right? So I think it's not ridiculous that Apple gets compensation for, putting the cornerstone in for the future way the economy works. So that's common sense. Now, how do you regulate that? Because you could, add a tax on originally a lot of apps cost money. They weren't all free, but people don't do that anymore because, a lot of people don't pay money per app. So the 30% cut doesn't work there. It's kind of onerous and ridiculous to put a fee on in-person things. So like Uber and Amazon packages and whatever, that's a little ridiculous. But for digital services where the profit margin is 100%, that's the only thing you can do. And the only way you can enforce that is if you don't allow third-party payment processors, because otherwise you could just skirt it. So how do you, there's no easy solution.
Yeah. Oh God.
The thing is, like, Apple settled on like that percentage because they know that people are gonna pay that. I mean, they've set it at such a point that like if we take more, people are gonna stop, and if you take less, will not earn. So like they've set it at a perfect. They've like done a lot of analysis on this, and they set it at a price that they know that people are gonna pay that.
In 2008, more than 12 years ago, and it has not changed. So it's actually the only way it's changed. It's gotten lower. And they said it like that because that was the industry standard back then.
Yeah.
This was not a Machiavellian. It was not, well, if it's set to 31.3336%, that's the highest we can set up before people freak out. No, Apple does not work like that.
Well, cool. You guys.
I like what they did with the small businesses though. It's like you can get the 15% thing, which is, I guess, a good initiative.
Yeah, that's cool.
Also, I just think they deserve to get paid, bro. Like they have so many users coming into that app store, right? Like all the devices they sell, all the R&D they put in, like they should get that money. Like my opinion, very capitalist opinion.
Honestly, maybe we should dedicate like one other meeting time to just talking about tech policy. Like there's so much to talk about on that. Like Section 230 is something that everybody here in the Bay Area is always fighting for.
What is Section 230?
We should talk about it next week.
Okay.
What is it?
It's basically a law that says like if you go on Facebook or Twitter and you post some like radical whack tweet, you can't sue Facebook or Twitter for it. They're just a medium where random people can come and post random things, but they shouldn't be held legally liable for it.
Yeah.
So it was originally made for copyright.
People are trying to get rid of that and saying Facebook and Twitter should keep track of every post, every tweet on their platform. And if someone tweets something harmful, then Facebook and Twitter should be liable.
You basically have to make every single, at least for Facebook's case, every single person on the planet would have to be a Facebook employee for that to make sense.
It's really tough. Yeah. And if that happens, like tech will crash. So it's interesting.
The open internet will be gone.
Yeah, like it'll be the bubble that crashed in 2000. So that would be crazy. And like Republicans and like President Trump were pushing for it a lot.
And Democrats are also pro repealing it too.
So people are like really, really tense about that. Like anywhere here in SF, you'll always see like posters about Section 230. So maybe that's something that we could talk about.
That'd be a good one. We would all agree on that one. So that'd be interesting.
That would be fun. All right. Well, I think we're at time today. Anyone have any closing thoughts?
No.
I think we can end with that funny story about Elon Musk. Apparently, did you guys hear after like Tesla's first model came out and it like didn't do as well? He went to Tim Cook and asked him
Oh,
to
yeah.
like
Yeah.
acquire Tesla, and he like didn't even take the meeting with him. And like now, 10 years later, I'm sure he regrets it.
No, they do not, because Apple does not buy
Apple's
subsidiaries.
making their own car now, though.
It's crazy because my uncle actually mentioned in like 2011, 2012, or like whenever Tesla was popular. So
Apple
he was like,
doesn't
yeah,
buy
Apple's trying to
companies
get
as
Tesla. I was like,
investments. They
what?
don't do that.
No, he didn't even take the meeting.
I know, and they still wouldn't take the meeting today if he was selling for that price. That's not how they run. Apple's a very different company.
They would have like a lot more data though for their own car. Like
Apple also, Apple cares so much about data that they willingly, trash their how
but
much
like
data.
right now, doesn't Tesla have like the like by far the most amount of like actual on road data for?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's how they train their whole autopilot too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't really believe in data for machine learning. Probably why their machine learning is so bad, but they have they make up for it.
I've heard even if you want to get like a PM job at Apple, you have to have some like foundation ML knowledge because that's how much of it they use.
Oh yeah, they care.
Even as a new grad.
Yeah.
All right, let me stop.